25 episodes into the 2020 reboot of Digimon Adventure, we are starting to understand just who exactly the series' final boss is likely to be. Thanks to the last few episodes and some cyber sleuths in the DigiKnow community, we've got a really strong theory for where Adventure 2020 is heading, and today we're explaining it. It has everything to do with MoonMillenniummon and the legendary tamer who leapt through time, Ryo Akiyama. If you like Digimon and you haven't subscribed already, welcome to the DigiKnow, and please consider subscribing for more weekly content like this. So last week was a landmark episode for the new 2020 Digimon series. Episode 24 saw the destruction of the show's main villain thus far at the hands of a sort of prototype War Greymon. But perhaps more importantly, we saw Agumon Dark Digivolve into Machinedramon, or Mugendramon in the Japanese. This was an incredible moment for long-term fans, and not just because in the 1999 English dub, Agumon joked about one day becoming a Dark Master himself, but because Machinedramon is an essential component in the creation of Millenniummon and MoonMillenniummon, a villainous Digimon associated with Ryo and known best from the video games. So why do I bring up MoonMillenniummon in discussing Adventure 2020? Well, because he's been present in these last few episodes, whether you noticed or not. First Devimon and then Skull Knightmon have carried this purple crystal around, and its energy is what first transformed Devimon into Neo Devimon, and then Neo Devimon into Don Devimon. It's also very likely the source of that purple miasma that's been plaguing the digital world since around episode 10. That crystal shares an uncanny resemblance to MoonMillenniummon, a Digimon whose previous form, Millenniummon, is the combination of Mugendramon and Chimeramon. So there are three parts of the Millenniummon equation: MoonMillenniummon, Mugendramon, and Chimeramon. And so far, Adventure 2020 has two of these three components already. All that's missing is Chimeramon, but if this horrifying Digimon appears in the near future for Adventure 2020, it's quite likely that Millenniummon will enter the picture by harvesting the data of Chimeramon and Agumon's Mugendramon form. Maybe Agumon will lose control again, or be forced to digivolve, or maybe the residual data from the previous evolution to Mugendramon in episode 24 will be enough to produce Millenniummon. Are you following so far? To summarize, it's looking like the evolution line of Millenniummon, MoonMillenniummon, and eventually Zed Millenniummon are very likely to be our final boss in this new series, considering the presence of MoonMillenniummon Crystal plus the appearance of Mugendramon so far. So there's one other key component of the Millenniummon lore that I'm so excited to tell you about, and this is a character some of you anime fans will remember from back in the day, Ryo Akiyama. Yeah, that Ryo from Digimon Tamers. Ryo is a fascinating character who has appeared in several timelines, and for those who don't know, those who maybe just watch the animes and haven't touched the extended universe like the games, he actually originated in Digimon video games before becoming this multiverse character who appeared in our war game, in Adventure 02 and in Tamers. In his first game, he teams up with Taichi's Agumon, who reaches out through Ryo's computer screen when Taichi and the other Digidestined go missing. Long story short, Ryo travels the digital world and rescues the Adventure 1999 Digidestined one by one before reaching the final enemy, Millenniummon, and saving Taichi. Agumon returns to Taichi's side and Ryo goes back to his normal life. That's the first game. In a later video game outing, Ryo and his arch-rival Millenniummon are sent through time. Ryo recruits several Digidestined throughout time to stop Millenniummon's next form, Zed Millenniummon. When all is said and done, him and a new Digitama are sent back not to the world of 1999 Adventure canon, but of all places to the Digimon Tamers timeline. Shortly thereafter, he and Cyberdramon appear in Tamers, he beats Rika in a card game tournament, and the rest is history. This is all canon, mind you. This is not fan theories trying to connect the dots, this is canon stuff. Okay, so let's gather what we know. Ryo is a multiverse traveling Digidestined. His fate is tied to Millenniummon, like Batman and the Joker. Digimon Adventure 2020 is set in an alternate universe from Digimon Adventure 1999. Digimon Adventure 2020 is clearly teasing and straight up showing us MoonMillenniummon. Therefore, the theory goes that Ryo is set to appear in Digimon Adventure 2020 and assist in the takedown of the series' big bad Millenniummon or Zed Millenniummon. This would be incredibly wild and meta because it would effectively confirm that both Adventure 1999 Taichi and Friends, as well as 2020 Taichi and Friends, exist in the same canon, just in alternate timelines. And I know what you're thinking, that's way too crazy for a kid's show. Except it's not, because Digimon already did this with Tamers, having a multiverse hopping character. They wouldn't be doing something new, they would just be doing something again. The other reason why Ryo showing up as a late season addition to the cast could work is the same reason why I thought Alteros mode and Sagittarius mode work so well. Digimon Adventure 2020 is, in theory, the first time we know every upcoming evolution form for the main characters, so adding Alteros mode and Sagittarius mode, it created that same element of surprise that we felt as kids in 1999 when a new form appeared. In a similar way, Digimon has historically had a late series character enter the picture, kind of like Power Rangers series where a 6th ranger enters the picture eventually. In Adventure 99 it was Kari, in 02 it was Ken, in Frontier it was Koichi. In Digimon 2020 it's arguably TK and Kari, but we already know they're coming, so it's not really a surprise. In the same way that Metal Greymon Alteros mode allowed us to be caught off guard again, maybe Adventure 2020 is distracting us with TK and Kari so that it can blow our minds with a third real new character, Ryo. Now don't worry, I also think this sounds too good to be true, but you have to consider how unbelievably wild Digimon 2020 has been so far. In episode 1 they ended by announcing that their first mini arc was a retelling of our war game. In episode 2 they showed us Omegamon, who we all just kind of assumed would be the final evolution of the series. In episode 21 they introduced a brand new evolution mod type with Alteros mode. Then, as you remember, in episode 24 they showed Agumon go to Mugendramon. The gloves are off, the mad lads at Toei working on Digimon are holding nothing back, and for that reason I believe this theory is actually entirely plausible. So now I've gotta know, what do you think about all this? Is it adding up, or do you think it's impossible? Maybe you think MoonMillenniummon is happening but not the Ryo part of the theory? As always, comment to let me know. I've gotta know. And some other episode 25 highlights, since this is my episode 25 discussion review video technically. I love that the entire episode was set in the sky as the kids in the digital world fell towards the sea. I just thought this was a really interesting concept for a battle to all take place sort of falling into the sky, kind of like skydiving. Leomon is still at it. He's now been in the show for a solid 15 episodes, you know, from his introduction to now. He hasn't been in every episode, but he's been in a solid chunk of the timeline. Is this a new record for him staying alive? Kari has joined up with the other kids who, while I still wish we're doing more in the story, are clearly busy with this naval business that is becoming an international crisis. It's clear that their role in the story is now looping Kari into the picture, and I'm okay with this. I just want the cast to reassemble sooner than later because they're genuinely a strong cast, and it's tragic when their only screen time is them gathered around Izzy's laptop looking frustrated or concerned. Last but not least, thank you so much for the unbelievable support you've shown this channel. The last few weeks have seen a spike in viewership that I never anticipated, and I'm so grateful for. If you go back and watch my older videos, I kept talking about my goal for 2020 being to reach 1,000 subscribers before December 31st. The truth is, I never thought I'd actually hit 1,000, but I thought setting an ambitious goal was a good idea. Now it's November, and at the time of publishing this video, the channel has 2,600 subscribers, and my episode 24 review has over 100,000 views. I have no idea how this happened. I'm fully expecting this momentum to die down as the YouTube algorithm gods decide they're sick of me and start recommending some other channels to people, but for now I'm enjoying every minute of connecting with you all, so thanks for keeping me company. As always, please subscribe and leave a comment to let me know what you thought about this episode, about this video, and our theory here about Ryo and Millenniummon. Until next week, take it easy.